Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video we're going to talk about the summer heat that's been going on. Here's a map of the United States. This is July 18th, 2022, and a huge section of the country is in 90-degree or more heat, but that's not what's making the biggest headlines around the world with the heat right now. Um, the European heat wave. Airport runways melt amid the hottest day of the year in the UK, and airports are closed, flights are canceled because a runway melts, and it caused a runway to lift. And it wasn't just commercial aviation, but the Air Force halts flights after the runway melts. Yeah, the British summer is so hot that the Air Force has been forced to cancel flights on a major military base. So it's pretty hot over there in UKville. They don't really experience the heat like other places do. They truly have a pretty comfortable summer, and the temperatures were soaring above 38 degrees. That's Celsius. And for us on this side of the pond, that would equate to 100 degrees. 38 degrees Celsius is 100 degrees. So that is very hot for the UK. It's creating travel havoc. It's travel all over the place is been crazy lately, as most people either experience or heard. But it says a UK airport well known to holidaymakers suspended all of its flights for nearly 3 hours today after the runway tarmac melted in boiling temperatures. Luton Airport, which is used by budget airlines, was the latest victim of the heat wave. The inbound flights are being diverted, and the last flight to take off before suspending flights was at 3:07 p.m. And, of course, passengers were furious. I mean, guess what, people? When you book flights, there's nothing that's a guarantee. And weather holds things up. And when runway conditions aren't safe, okay, let me tell you, these furious passengers, if these planes took off and something happened because of those damaged runways, these would be the first people filing major lawsuits. So, commercial aviation, this is, there are times when maybe delays and whatnot are a little questionable. This is not one of them. Safety is paramount. And when the runways are melting, you just can't take off and land planes, They, it said, the airport spokesman said following today's high temperatures, a surface defect was identified on the runway. Engineers were called immediately to the site, and repair works are currently in progress to resume operations as soon as possible. They'd like to apologize for the inconvenience caused, which is nothing as opposed to the catastrophe and disaster that could have happened from, you know, planes operating on runways that are not fit to be operated on. So it says here that flights in and out of the largest air base in the UK, the RAF Brize Norton, were also halted because the runway has melted. And they could see temperatures as high as 42 degrees. So let's just see what 42 degrees is. Okay, 42. Let's see. Oh, that's 107 degrees. So yeah, that's pretty hot. I've been in the highest I've ever been in is 117 driving, and it was you were just sucking back water all day. I know that. So there's a red warning for health, and people have to really take it easy. But the runways, they are just sitting out there in the sun all day. And, people are like, well, I mean, there's flights, airports in hot areas like, Dubai has airports and their runways don't melt, but, runways, that's why there's engineers out there. They're built for the temperature and of the area. And generally, the UK is just not this hot. So this CNN article about the runways lifting, it's at that same Luton, Luton airport in London, and the spokesman just said after high surface temperatures caused a small section to lift. So, I guess the tar was just, somewhat boiling up. Maybe it was just coming up, and you can't have runways that, have mounds in them. Planes land at like 190 miles an hour. Okay. Yeah, that would be catastrophic. So, um, this London and the UK, they are just not accustomed to heat like this. It's been coming on in the past few years, but generally over, millennial, their climate is much cooler. So their runways are built for cooler climates and not built for over 100-degree temperature. So yeah, even the Air Force here had to, um, you know, shut down an airport because of the extreme heat wave. The RAF was forced to suspend flights in and out of Brize Norton Base near Oxfordshire on Monday, with Sky News first reporting the situation was due to extreme heat melting the runways. Yeah, which was later confirmed. With the RAF explaining the flights were being rerouted through bases that are safe to operate and that the standard military business has not been impacted. So, during the period of extreme temperature, flight safety remains RAF's top priority, as all airlines and aviation should do. So, the aircraft were using an alternative airfields in line with a long established plan. So things are very, very hot over there in the UK, and those proper people over there, they're just truly um, not accustomed to it. It was over 38 degrees there. So that's what, 102? That it's not expected, the heat isn't expected to let up until the weekend, with highs above 102 Fahrenheit expected tomorrow. The impact for record breaking temperatures on national infrastructure may just be starting. So it says here that Heathrow and Gatwick and we're operating normally despite the high temperatures. But right here, this Euronews article says that several railway companies called on the population not to travel Monday, as the British rail network is not designed for such heat, and said to expect further major transportation disruption. So it's not just runways, but railways can also be affected by heat because it's not designed for such heat, just like the runways aren't. So, um, over there in the UK, they are experiencing a proper summer, should we say? And they're not accustomed to it. Their infrastructure is not designed for it, and it is starting to cause some trouble over there. So while people in the United States swelter in what from the start of my life it has been called the dog days of summer. I mean, I've lived in heat and humidity in the South. I grew up in the Northeast, and it was hot and humid. And let me tell you, even the mountains in Colorado and the mountains in Montana, they're starting to see humidity. When I first moved out to Colorado in the 90s, there was no such thing as humidity anywhere near the mountains, but it's creeping in. And last night, it was very hot up here in Montana, and usually in the summer, it cools off at night, no matter what. I mean, in the 90s, some of the summers I spent in Colorado, you would bring a winter jacket with you when you went out at night. You had to, because the air temperature just got cold enough that you needed you needed a pretty hardy jacket. And last night was one of the first nights in the mountains where it just didn't cool off at all. And I myself was reminded about what the dog days of summer are. But over in the UK, they're experiencing travel delays based on it, and extreme heat. Carry water, always carry water, and just drink it in hot water. Your body on hot temperatures, your body needs it. If only, it was as easy as just pouring water on the runways. I mean, maybe it is. They can land on wet runways. Maybe right now they need to start dousing these runways with water. But right now, it's the heat over there isn't just making life uncomfortable. It's creating some travel distress and irating some people. But as the Air Force said, safety is the utmost of priority. And as I said, the people that are going to get bothered by the airlines and airports looking out for safety and looking out for their insurance policies are because of irate people who, if something happened, would be the first people to be filing massive lawsuits. So just a sign of the times, people. Things are changing. Whether this is global warming, whether this is just a fluke, whether this is, you know, weather modification, which is happening everywhere, it is beginning to impact society. So just always carry water, stay cool, even if it's hot out there, even if you're stuck at an airport. Don't become one of those people on the videos on YouTube about, irate passengers, because they are truly looking out for your safety, and being delayed is better than being dead. So stay tuned, people.